Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder. Today we're diving into a report from KLX Energy Services. This one's a bit like reading tea, leave some things look good on the surface, but we'll see if the numbers actually add up or if there are some hidden surprises. This report is about their annual meeting of stockholders where they vote on important company matters. Think of it as the company's version of a town hall, but with potentially billions of dollars at stake. We'll go over what they voted on and, more importantly, how the votes turned out. It's not just about who won, but what those wins and losses mean for the company's direction. Before we get started, if you appreciate getting straight insights from corporate documents, make sure you're subscribed. We also have a Discord community linked in the description below for more in-depth discussions. Let's start with the basics. The annual meeting happened on May 7, 2025. It's where the big decisions get ratified or sometimes rejected by the people who own the company, the stockholders. One of the main items on the agenda was to declassify the board of directors. Now, what does that mean? Basically, it would change how the board members are elected. Instead of being elected for staggered terms, meaning some board members are elected each year, they would all be elected at once. The goal is often to make the board more accountable because all directors would face election at the same time. However, this proposal did not pass. It needed a supermajority, meaning 2/3 of the votes, and it didn't get there. Looking at the voting numbers, about 6.7 million shares voted in favour, but almost 1.2 million voted against. There were also over 5 million broken non-votes. Broken non-votes happen when a broker holding shares for clients doesn't receive instructions on how to vote and therefore doesn't vote on certain items. Tanzana's case, this means that there are many owners that did not express their opinion, and it is hard to know why. Next up was the election of Class I directors. These are the people who will sit on the board and help guide the company's strategy. This time, the nominees Christopher J. Baker, Gunnar Eliasson, and John T. Waits were elected. They'll serve until the annual meeting in 2028. Let's look at the numbers. Christopher J. Baker got about 6.5 million votes for him, with 1.4 million withholding their votes, meaning they weren't in favour. Jano Werover got 6.7 million votes for him, with almost 2 million withheld. John T. Waits had about 6.7 million votes for him, with 1.2 million withheld. Again, there were over 5 million broken non-votes for each of them, which is consistent with the first vote. Another important vote was on the compensation of the named executive officers. This is where stockholders get to give their opinion in a non-binding way on how much the top executives are getting paid. In this case, the vote did not approve the compensation. The numbers tell the story. About 3.3 million shares voted in favour of the compensation, but over 4 million voted against. It's a clear signal that a significant portion of stockholders weren't happy with the executive pay packages. This isn't binding, so the board doesn't have to change anything, but it's definitely something they should pay attention to. When your owners tell you they are unhappy, that is usually a big red flag. The next item was about eliminating the supermajority voting requirement to amend the company's bylaws. The bylaws are the internal rules that govern how the company operates. Currently, it takes a supermajority or 2/3 of the vote to change them. This proposal wanted to lower that threshold, making it easier for stockholders to make changes. However, like the declassification of the board, this also failed to get enough votes. About 6.5 million shares voted in favour, but 1.4 million voted against. It failed because it needed that 2/3 majority and it didn't reach it. Again, there were over 5 million broken non-votes. Similar to the bylaws, this item proposed eliminating the supermajority voting requirement to amend the company's certificate of incorporation. The certificate of incorporation is like the company's constitution. It sets out the basic rules and powers of the company. Just like with the bylaws, this proposal failed to get the necessary votes. The votes were very close to the previous item, with about 6.5 million in favour and 1.4 million against. It looks like this is a consistent sentiment among the voters. Finally, the stockholders voted on ratifying the selection of Deloitte & Touche LA as the company's independent registered public accounting firm. This is basically a vote to approve who's checking the company's financial books. This one passed easily. A whopping 12.9 million shares voted in favour, with only about 315,000 against. It's a clear sign that the stockholders are confident in Deloitte & Touche. Also, you will note that unlike the previous votes, there were 0 broken non-votes, meaning that everyone who could vote did. Now let's step back and look at the bigger picture. It seems like there's some disagreement between the stockholders and the company's board on certain key issues. The failure to declassify the board and to eliminate supermajority voting requirements suggests that there's a desire for more accountability and easier ways to make changes, but the board hasn't fully embraced that. The rejection of the executive compensation package is also a red flag. It tells you that stockholders aren't thrilled with how the top executives are being paid. If to then the other hand, the easy approval of the accounting firm shows confidence in the company's financial oversight. Looking at these results more broadly, it seems like there are some underlying tensions at KLX Energy Services. The stockholders are sending a message that they want more say in how the company is run, and they're not entirely happy with the current leadership's decisions on things like pay, and it's definitely something to keep an eye on in the coming months. If the board ignores these concerns, it could lead to more conflict and potentially impact the company's performance. So overall, that's our breakdown of KLX Energy Services' latest filing. What's your take on these numbers and what they signal for the company's future? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Don't think the company is something to keep an eye on in the coming months. If the board ignores these concerns, it could lead to more conflict and potentially impact the company's performance still. Alright, that's our breakdown of KLX Energy Services' latest filing. What's your take on these future? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description.